What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got three lightning fast duels for you guys to check out. The first duel is going to be Salamangreat and yeah, how to stick to the Salad Boy game plan, because the thing about Salamangreat, and I've talked about this pretty much for a couple of months now, I always feel like the magic number in this deck is 3. And when I say 3, I'm not just talking about like level 3s to get into Mirage Stallion. I'm actually talking about the number of disruptions you want to be able to get out of your opening 5 cards. If you have 3 disruptors, you feel incredibly confident in Salamangreat's that no deck in the meta should be able to break your board completely and take you out of the game, because your 3 disruptors plus your Balinks in the graveyard should be enough to, you know, kind of like slow them down and thwart them. But you gotta know exactly how to use your disruptions. Now, I looked at this guy's opening hand, and if you guys ever wonder like, hey Cap, I sent you a Salamangreat duel, why isn't it uploaded? Sometimes it's just like the people, maybe you've beaten a Salamangreat player, but I look through their deck list and I just roll my eyes and I'm like, this guy's terrible, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, etc, etc. This guy is going to get the full max out of this opening hand. In fact, he's going to do exactly what I would do. Sometimes if you don't have like access to a 3rd disruptor, as he doesn't, you kind of have to make it with Salamangreats. And you can already see he has Rage in his opening hand, he has Effect Failure, that's 2 disruptions, that's fine, but he needs to be able to get the Roar. Now luckily, since he has Will the Salamangreat, he can obviously summon Mirage Stallion, he can pull out the Gazelle from his deck, and he can get Roar into the graveyard, then get it back with Sunlight Will. So that's essentially how you make defense for your deck, and this is, to me, this was the perfect turn 1 play. He didn't make any mistakes here. This was 100% right. He ends up having Rage, he ends up having Roar set, which I think I just did that in reverse, and Effect Failure. Now the thing is, you gotta play these cards right. Just because you do the right play doesn't mean you're playing the deck completely right, and this is where he is just gonna lose me. His opponent activates Terraforming, and he immediately uses his best disruption card of the 3. Why on earth would you ever use Roar on a Terraforming? General rule of thumb when playing, or I guess honestly any deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, is that you don't want to negate Terraforming, because at the very least you kind of want to know what you're playing against. If your opponent has like an ABC Hanger, if they're playing Trickstar Light Stager, you want to know what field spell they're searching, so you know how to use your disruption cards. Even if it was one of those 1-for-1 kind of search field spells, you could have just used Rage on the field spell. So you guys will see if this ends up biting him in the butt. I feel like using your best negation card like instantly was just laughably stupid, but I mean, hey, maybe it'll end up working out for him. We'll just have to wait and we'll see. His opponent's going to summon that World Legacy Miko, and then he's going to go for Ripodocus. He is going to use his Rage here. He's going to target the Ripodocus and his opponent's the Guard Dragon Monster Reborn type card. It's not bad. So anyways, his opponent is going to go for Monster Reborn, bring back Ripodocus, and think about this. What if you would have let your opponent go for Summon Sorceress, they summon a monster back, and now you would have used Rage here? You probably, Roar here, you probably almost certainly end up winning the game. Now granted, his opponent would have been able to get the Kaijuto Waterfront, but who cares? Kaijuto Waterfront doesn't do anything if you don't drop Sorry to Skull Dread, because the Kaiju can't be the Kaiju you search isn't gonna really do anything. I guess maybe he could have at this point used the Kaiju to try to get rid of the Sunlight Wolf and get it off the field, but I still think it was just a bad play. Let's see if he's going to be able to survive this turn. My best guess is not really. I mean, I think Guard Dragons, honestly, and Yu-Gi-Oh probably have the highest ceiling, just because the amount of presence that they can drop going first or second. Going second, they can OTK through like tons of stuff, and then going first, they can have so many disruptions and negations. He just scoops it up because he knows that he has lost. His opponent was almost certainly going to be able to, well, he had the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, but he almost certainly was going to be able to still get the Gamma, because he did actually hard draw into the Kaiju to Waterfront. And the difference between Salamangreat's winning and losing can honestly be this, it could be this razor thin, because if you don't break this board completely, the Salamangreat player will get Rage and Roar back to their hand during their next turn, or at least they'll get them back on the field during their next turn. And you know, he has Gazelle, plus he was going to top deck a Circle, so he would have had enough to just full combo out. But you gotta use those disruption cards the right way when you're playing Salamangreat. Second duel is going to be Orcust against Thunder Dragon, and it's interesting because, you know, I think that who was it, Deception kind of shed a little bit of light on Orcust, and the fact that it's actually quite playable in the TCG right now. Obviously, the deck is going to become super nuts when Dark Neostorm comes out because it's getting an Infernity Barrier, it's getting a new Xyz monster that is borderline fucking broken as well. That thing does not target, it gives all your field protection, but I thought a lot of people, myself included, thought that, you know, we would basically just hold off until then, but really to play Orcust, all you kind of need to start popping off is kind of just to get the Nightmare Mermaid. So this guy runs the Trickstar engine, which is kind of crazy. He normal summons Trickstar Candina, and then he's going to search the Trickstar Light Stage. That gets him Carabine, and then he just summons that, and you know, he has his 2 monsters on field. He can instantly go to Nightmare Mermaid, and from there you basically can just like full combo out. Like, I had never seen someone play Trickstars in Orcust before, but it actually works as a nice little engine because essentially it gets you 2 monsters on board off your normal summon, so you're not completely reliant on, like, you know, Mathematician or Armageddon Knight and stuff like that. Anyways, at this point, you can make Rusty Bardiche. He can simply go into the Time Thief for Doer, and you know that Azathoth is going to follow. And, you know, if there's one deck in the game that's not really equipped to handle a turn 1 Azathoth, I would say that, like, Thunder Dragons is that deck, because especially if you're playing a Sekka's Light build, you have no spell and traps to stop your opponent, and you know you're not going to live to see the other turn. A deck like Altergeist, Guru Control, these are decks that can play Floodgates. Maybe they can flip over, they can set a Rivalry of Warlords, flip it over, hit their opponent with that. You know, the opponent has a Fiend, a Warrior, and a Machine Monster on board. That would maybe slow them down. Goes and Match, maybe not so much, but like decks that actually run like defensive trap cards could have a decent chance at surviving this. But, you know, these decks that are pretty monster heavy and monster centric, if your opponent drops Azathoth on them, it's pretty much a wrap. In addition, I don't know if you guys saw it, but he did make the Cyber's Quantum Dragon, and he had a copy of Fogblade as well. So yeah, Thunder Dragons had no chance. The second he lost the die roll, it was pretty much a wrap. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those short little duels. I really just kind of wanted to show this because there were Trickstars in here, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed these short duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.